Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sunset TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. Who will succeed Boris Johnson? That's where the focus is now shifted to, following the British Prime Minister's resignation on Thursday as Conservative Party leader. So who will that be? With multiple names doing the rounds as potential contenders, how will the next leadership battle shape up in the UK? And until then, what will in fact the political vacuum mean for the country? We'll try and find answers to some of these questions and also discuss several other aspects related to the political turmoil in the UK with an eminent panel of experts who are joining us on the program. So let me first introduce them to you. With me in the studio is Dr. Sreeram Chaulia, Foreign Affairs expert. Welcome to Sunset TV, Dr. Chaulia. And joining us virtually is former Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri. Thank you, sir, for your time. And also delighted to welcome Ms. Elizabeth Braw, Resident Fellow, American Enterprise Institute, London, United Kingdom. Let me bring in Dr. Chaulia into the discussion and try and understand his perspective. So, you know, the way it's shaping up the political turmoil in the UK, what we are seeing is a reluctant Boris Johnson has quit, but the fact that he continues to be the caretaker Prime Minister, and also now there are growing concerns that he be replaced as even the caretaker Prime Minister with immediate effect. Help us and our viewers understand, what do the rules say? Can the Deputy Prime Minister replace the caretaker Prime Minister at the moment, or will there have to be some kind of changes in rules as per the United Kingdom rules?
Well, Tina, it's not so much the constitutional rules, but more the inner party rules. You know, within the Conservative Party, they have some peculiar traits inherited from the past. In the name of intra-party democracy, they are allowed to hold these votes of no confidence, and that's how Theresa May survived but then fell, and now again Johnson has had the same fate. So these factions within the Conservative Party, what they call the backbenchers and all of them, they have a lot of power to create instability and upheaval. So, and in this case, as co-panelists have mentioned, there are ethical issues, and the economy is in a bad shape, the inflation is at an all-time high, there's a lot of restlessness, and all those will matter going forward. Johnson, see, the 2019 election is very critical to understand what's going to happen in the future, because he won a landslide victory by bringing together the traditional conservative middle and upper class voters, but also a lot of what are called red areas, which were traditionally labor, trade unions and working class. He offered them a kind of like a radical conservative agenda.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it was, I think, supposedly the largest victory since 1987.
Yeah, so it was a historic win, and it was enabled by this coalition of voters from across different class lines and categories. So he's really struggled to satisfy all these stakeholders. On one side, there is the conservative base within the party, then there is the members of the party, and then there's within the general public also the expectations. So he actually tried to be like a catch-all candidate, and that's why he won such a huge mandate. But then if your ideological base is kind of scattered, you struggle, right? So I think that's been one of the reasons for the downfall, and it's going to continue to matter. So underneath these rules, underneath the, the shenanigans and all the accusations and the recriminations, lies this basic social fault line. There's a growing inequality, high unemployment, higher rising inflation, almost double digit now. And, there is a perception that the government is not delivering to the working class what it had promised. More people have moved, as per opinion polls, in favor of Labour Party. If there's a general election today, of course, it's not due for another 2 years. But if there is one, then Labour is likely to win. And so that's the problem, right? So the right wing has boxed itself into a corner. It has had a long tenure for several years now, but they are not able to manage the fault lines caused by two big factors. One is Brexit, and the second is the Russia-Ukraine war, which has also added to the economic woes of the UK. And because of these factors, they're not able to deliver the expectation. That's why there's rising discontent. And the rising public discontent then translates into members of parliament saying, oh, we are sliding in the opinion polls. This prime minister is bad for us. But changing the prime minister is not going to help them. They have to deliver on the promises, right? He said, get Brexit done. Yes, he got it done. But after that, the rosy promises he gave of, a global Britain and a country that's going to be free and will show its might as an independent sovereign country and all that, those have not been met.
Absolutely. And all of these challenges
these social fault lines we have to really study. And those are going to determine whoever is the prime minister, they're going to inherit the same problems, same divisions within the party and within the society, and those have to be managed, or else it's an open season for Labour.
The going is going to be tough for even the successor of Boris Johnson. So basically, there is no shortage of potential candidates for, in fact, to take over as Prime Minister. Dr. Chaulia, could that mean that this leadership change battle is not going to be an easy one, and that could also mean advantage Boris Johnson?
No, I think he has no comeback route. Okay. And rather the bruising intra-party, factionalism, and you will see more of this going forward. They will need to unify actually, and like I said, deliver the expectations, which they haven't been able to. So now he is a lame duck prime minister, and we'll have to see how long he lasts even in this lame duck situation. And meanwhile, you see a lot of their economic strategy going forward, the fiscal policies, and all of these require, parliamentary confidence. And now that this is an interim government, they are going to struggle to pass major legislation and all those things. So yeah, it's going to look weak, and they are still trying to finish the loose ends of Brexit, and they are still negotiating many aspects of the trade relationship with the EU going forward. So those things, and I think, frankly, the political mandate to negotiate those things has become weak. So I think Britain is going to struggle a bit now, and it's a transition period. The question is, will Labour capitalize on this and come back? I mean, that looks quite likely at present, but we'll have to see if the Conservatives can come up with some consensus candidate who is able to heal the rifts. Because one of the weaknesses of Boris Johnson, apart from the ethical conduct, is he was not a good manager of people. You see, he upset lots of constituencies within the party, and he had a very nonchalant way of doing things and somewhat chaotic style, and he never trusted very many people. He had his own small coterie. So I think they need a different brand of leadership going forward. I mean, it started with Cameron actually. Cameron rolled the dice for Brexit, David Cameron. Then Theresa May couldn't hold the fort. Now the third one in the line, Conservative, who's been struggling. So I think it's a kind of a cycle. If you take a longer term view, there was a time when Conservatives were out of power for a long period, and Tony Blair and the Labour was in power, and now it's the reverse. So I think you may see some kind of reinvention of the Conservative Party. You can't write them out. It's a matter of somewhat relative decline right now for them. But they'll likely come back, and we'll probably see a new avatar of the Conservative Party under new leadership.
Okay, so before I go across to Ambassador Puri and understand, further about Britain's relations with other countries as well, very quickly, let me also try and understand from you, how does this party election take place? You said there could be an advantage Labour Party, but for now, the election is within the Conservative Party. So how does that election take place, and how long could it take? Because in the past, we've seen it's varied.
Yeah, it may go on until October if they go through by the rule book. Then, first there is the parliamentary committees, and then they have the paid members who are actually citizens, who are voters, but who are, formal members of the Conservative Party. And it's like a, elite committee, and then there's a General Assembly kind of thing of all Conservative Party members. So there's going to be a mini election, pretty much, to finally choose between two candidates who are sifted through this whole process. And I don't know, I think voters are not going to be so enthusiastic about all this, because they are bread and butter issues to resolve right now. And things are not looking good economically for the UK. Absolutely. And the perception that Johnson mismanaged the economy is one of the principal reasons for the decline in his ratings and his fall. So I think it's a hard road ahead for the Conservatives. I see, like I said, that they've exhausted themselves, and they will need a reinvention going forward. And
very, very challenging issues, both domestically and on the international front, that the new leader, or whoever succeeds Boris Johnson, will have to face. So that having been said, I have to wind up the discussion. Thank you, Ambassador Puri, Ms. Elizabeth Bro, and Dr. Chaulia for joining us on the program today, sharing your thoughts, your views with us and our viewers. Absolute pleasure to have you on this edition of Perspective.